Hello and welcome. Hungary, Poland and Israel are meeting head-to-head in this Group C Olympic team qualifier here at the CDIO three-star Pilisjászfalu in Hungary. The team qualifiers soon come to an end with this Group C qualifier, the European Championships in Reisenbeck and the Pan Am Games as final opportunities this year to make it as a team for Paris 2024. Here you can see the lineup of judges. At E, we have Thomas Lang from Austria. At H, Elke Elbert from Germany. At C, we have the Netherlands, Mariette Sanders van Ganswinkel. At M, we have Austria's Elisabeth Max Struer. And at B, we have Kurt Christensen from Denmark. 15 horse and rider combinations coming forward for this Grand Prix from 4 nations. Germany will be joining Hungary, Poland and Israel. They already have their place at the Olympics, so it is all to play for Hungary, Poland and Israel. One team slot is up for grabs for the highest scoring team at the CDIO Pilisjászfalu this weekend.
Grand Prix.
This is the lineup.
We have 4 nations in
Group C covers Central and Eastern Europe as well as Central Asia. Stable Unicornus is excited to welcome Europe's top dressage riders to an all-comprehensive international dressage competition, which hosts the World Cup qualifier, the CDIO three-star Nations Cup, and of course this Group C Olympic team qualifier. And for the first time, they also have para-dressage here with a CPEDI three-star.
From the Netherlands. Let's see.
So first rider in is for Hungary.
From Austria at M.
It is Saba, Zalova and Eiling. They are first in at 12:15. We will be taking a short break of around 15 minutes after Rudolf Weidmann. And there you can see the final 5 riders coming forward, including Lisa Müller and Franziska Steigelmeier from Germany there. So you can see the 10-minute box next to this main arena where the competitors will be making their final preparations before heading in to this lovely arena. The Hungarian dressage owner and entrepreneur Ari Yomtov. This is already his 5th international dressage competition here in Pilisjászfalu. He has staged this at his yard in the north of Budapest, Hungary since 2019. They have also hosted the 2020 European Youth Championships and the 2022 European Children and Under-25 Championships. So this is Saba Corolla, and she is riding Eiling. This is a 15-year-old grey gelding. First competitor in for Hungary this morning. These riders will be feeling quite a lot of pressure. It's a lot on their shoulders to be qualifying for an Olympic Games, so they're going to be wanting to pull out their best performances. So we just wait for the bell to go. You can see Mariette Sanders van Ganswinkel standing, waiting for Saba Corolla to come into the arena, our first competitor for this Group C Olympic qualifier. They have a best score of 68.587 in the Grand Prix. A nice straight entry there down the centre line. Lovely rhythm as they come round and start their extended trot. Really nice ground cover there. keeping the pole up at the highest point. Could just see a little bit more coming from the hind leg. Really lovely there through the short side as they prepare for this half pass. Could just see a little bit more around the rider's inside leg there. A little bit more engagement from the hind leg as well. Slightly better there to the left. Early into the halt at sea, you want to see the rider's body positioned on the marker. Also just fidgeting slightly. Not quite on the rider's aids there. You can see the rider really having to ask for the steps of the rein back, getting tight in the frame. That's a shame. That's going to pull his score right down. 4s from the judges for that. But a lovely pickup into the extended trot again. Lovely and consistent through this trot work as we now start the passage and the piaffe. Much better here in the hind leg. Fairly nice transition into the piaffe, travelling slightly but maintaining the rhythm there fairly well in the piaffe. And that's a really difficult decision for the riders. Do they try and get it a little bit more on the spot and risk the horse dropping them, or keep it a little bit more forward and keep the rhythm and keep the activity? I think he made a really good decision there. Into a really lovely relaxed walk. Could just see a little bit more ground cover for the higher marks in the extended walk. Also, you can just see there the horse just tucking behind the bridle slightly, just a couple of times across the diagonal there. You really want to see the horses taking the contact down and out in the extended walk, but picking up nicely into this collected walk. This is really difficult because they know that the passage is coming as they get to M. A lot of horses can really anticipate that transition, but really, really well ridden there from Saba. Some good steps here again in the piaffe. Scoring around the 6.57 mark for the piaffe. The transitions could have a little bit more fluency for the higher marks. A lovely pickup into the canter. Now they come round for their 2-time changes across this long diagonal. Nice preparation there. Oh, a little mistake there in the middle. That's a shame because those changes were going really nicely. Just dropped down to 4s and 3s from the judges there. Some fairly good ground cover in the extended canter across the diagonal. Could have maybe gone for a little bit more there for the higher marks, scoring 7s across the board. Oh no, actually C rewarded a 7.5. And now into the canter zigzag. Nice suppleness in the changes. Just quarters leading there at the final half pass. Just needed to watch the balance through that zigzag, and now into the 1s. A little bit of swinging. Nice and consistent across the diagonal. A little mistake though, which brings the score down again. 4s for the judges. 1 judge rewarding a 6. It really does depend on where you sit around the arena, of your view of those changes. Could have just finished that pirouette a little bit more, just needed 1 more step to really rebalance before he comes down the centre line for that change. Again, just losing a bit of the throughness and a little bit of the bend there, especially towards the end of that canter pirouette to the right. Again, a lovely rhythm here in the trot. Good ground cover. Again, I'd just like to see a little bit more from behind, and we can see in the piaffe and the passage work just how much this horse can really step under behind and engage. I just would like to see a little bit more of that in the extended trot. Again, really good here in the passage. You can just see in that transition as well into the piaffe, it just goes a little bit onto the shoulder rather than sitting and taking the weight behind to come into the piaffe. And I think once he can get that balance right, the piaffe's only going to get better. And there we have it, our first test completed from Hungary's Saba Zokola and Eining. Really lovely striking horse, a great test from this first competitor from the Hungarian team.
Here in the tent.
15 years old, this horse, so really nice and established in their work. I think they're going to be in for a fairly good score, around the 65-66%. A good solid start for the Hungarian team. Just a few mistakes in those 2 lines of changes, which was a real shame, especially those 2 times, because they were going so nicely at the beginning and then just popped in that one. Just needed to finish off those canter pirouettes a little bit better, keep the throughness the whole way around those canter pirouettes for the slightly higher marks. But now into the arena, we have our first competitor for Israel. It is Amit Kovos and Cupido. This is a 16-year-old KWPN gelding by Daddy Cool out of a 007 mare.
So
The owner is Draw Ben Sol.
Okay, they are in.
Here are the scores: E 65.109, H 67.5, C 64.239, M 63.587, and B 66.739. So a total score there of 65.435.
And that was the bell for the second competitor for Israel.
So the bell has gone now for this second competitor, Amit Kovos and Cupido. Again, another nice straight entry. Young rider here, just 20 years old. A little bit fidgety there in the first halt. Best score of 65.565 in the Grand Prix. Oh, just broken the rhythm there in the extended trot. Just potentially asked for a little bit too much there. So coming around and preparing for the half pass. Lovely bend there to the right. Good crossing. As we see, then change of bend. Bend not quite so good to the left, or better here towards the end. We'd just like to see a little bit more bend through the body, not just bend in the neck. Also, you can see at times the horse just creeping behind the vertical slightly. Want to see their pole kept at the highest point and the nose on the vertical line. Much better placement of the halt at C. Didn't quite stand still. The judges really want to see a halt immobilized for at least 3 seconds. He was just fidgeting slightly to get that square halt. And again there in the transition back from the extended trot, which was a lot better, you could just see him creeping behind the vertical as he asks him to come back. And again, a little bit there in the piaffe, some really nice steps. You just want to see the horse use its hind leg more to stay up more in the contact. Again, here in the walk, getting better there in the ground cover. You can see quite a clear over track there. It was a little bit tense at the beginning of the extended walk. You really want to see him walking over his back rather than holding himself. But some good quality walk steps. And again, you can see here the anticipation in the collected walk. And these are expensive walk marks. Both the extended walk and the collected walk have a double coefficient. Lovely transition back up into the passage. Better frame here. Nice transition into the piaffe and some good quality piaffe steps. Much better this time. 6.5s, 2 7s and a 7.5 for the piaffe there at I. Just losing a bit of the straightness in the strike off into the canter. And into the 2s. Yeah, nice clear 2-time changes. Kept the rhythm throughout the diagonal. Kept that nice uphill tendency. 6.5s and a 7 from one of the judges. And again, lovely steps there in the extended canter. Would just like to see that frame open up a little bit there for the higher marks in the extended canter. Again, just needs to watch the straightness here in this canter zigzag. A really difficult movement for these horses. Yeah, it's just looked a little bit green there in the half-pass zigzag as they come into the 1s. Yeah, pretty good 1-time changes there, nice and straight on that diagonal line. Unfortunate timing there for dropping. Just lost a little bit of that uphill tendency in the canter pirouette. And again there, just needs to watch the straightness. I know he's preparing for the canter pirouette. Yeah, he just needed to bring him back onto the hind leg and get that straightness before he went into the canter pirouette there, because he just lost the engagement completely, fell onto the shoulder and lost the balance. So coming down the final centre line now. Back into the passage. Really lovely athleticism here. And again, a good clear transition into the piaffe. Good activity, and again, lovely and fluent back into the passage. 3 7s, 2 7.5s for the piaffe there at X, and 3 7s and 2 6.5s for the transitions. There we have it for our second rider, Amit Kovos and Cupido for Israel. super job from this young rider, just 20 years old.
Amit Kovos and
The
Cupido.
score really creeping up
Thank
there
you.
towards the end. Personal best 65.565. And the score to beat at the moment is 65.435. Not sure they've done enough to go into the lead, but it's going to be very, very close between the two riders. Keeping it really competitive for this Group C qualifier for the Olympics. Just waiting for one more score to come through before we can bring that to you.
But this one coming in from
Our next rider is
Polish
coming in from
team.
Poland.
First rider of the
It
Polish
is
team. It's
Matisse
Herz
Chichon,
and, a brilliant
and
gelding by
they're
Blue Horse
riding
Hotline and Alabaster. And we see
her,
Matisse Chichon
sorry,
from
Hertz
Poland.
Regent the
And we
second.
have the scores.
This is a 16-year-old Hanoverian gelding by Blue Horse Hotline.
Amit Kovos and Cupido. It's at ease, 65.
So we have scores to bring you for Amit Kovos.
63.113.
Hopefully we'll be bringing those to you on the screen very shortly.
65.978 at M and at B 61.848 and a total of
A total score of 64.239.
Kovos and Cupido. And here comes Hertz
Fingers
Regent.
crossed we can bring you a
Matisse
breakdown
Chichon,
on the screen in a second, but at E it's 65.543, at H it's 63.913, at C it's 63.913, at M it's 65.978, and at B it's 61.848. So the bell has gone now for our third competitor to come into the arena. Matisse Chichon riding Hertz Regent the second. Best score of 68.848 in this Grand Prix. You could see as they came into the arena, the horse had its tongue out, so the judges will have to just watch for that. They will lose a few marks per movement if the tongue does creep out. Just a little bit there towards the end of that extended trot. If the tongue goes down, that's fine. It's when it comes out to the side. Again, some nice steps in the half pass. Getting better there towards the end of the half pass left. Just like to see more bend through the body to the right. Good placement of the halt, but definitely not square. And good steps in the rein back. Again, you can really see the horse just fiddling in the mouth. You could see it as they came into the halt at sea. Lovely rhythm there in the passage. And maintained there in the piaffe. Some nice steps. Nicely on the spot in the piaffe. Scoring lots of sevens for the passage and piaffe work. Currently trending around 68%. That would be enough to take them into the lead. Good relaxation here in the walk. Just needs to be very careful of that walk rhythm. I think that's one of those walks that could very easily go lateral. He's maintaining it fairly well there, doing a really good job. Just losing a little bit of activity in the passage there as he headed into the Piaf, and it just affected the Piaf slightly more than the first one that we saw at D. Still scoring 7s, but the last one scored 7.5s. It's just a little bit flat. Lovely uphill changes in the 2s. They look nice and straight from this angle. Again, scoring well there. Just losing a little bit of the straightness in this extended canter. You could see it as he came round the corner before M, as he was going to head across that diagonal. The quarters just slipped in a bit, so it's going to be very interesting now coming into this canter zigzag to see if he can control that balance and get the straightness that he needs for those high marks. Good job so far. Nice changes. Yeah, well ridden there. Much better preparation around that corner for these 1x changes. Beautifully straight on the diagonal. Just at times, generally, I'd just like to see him over the back a little bit more. You can just see him holding himself a little bit, which just prevents him from being quite as through as he could be. And that shows there in that canter pirouette. Just want to see a little bit more bend through the rider's inside leg. Better this way, better first half. Yep, and regained it again for that last couple of steps. It's looking like we are going to have a new leader. Tracking up nicely there through the extended trot. As they come down this final centre line, he needs to maintain that same level of activity that he had in that first passage, Piaf passage. Lovely fluent transition. Nicely ridden. Lovely activity there. A mixture of 7.5s and 7s for the Piaf. And again for the transitions. As they finish their test and he punches the air. Very happy with that test. And that is Matus Chichon and Hertz Regent II. They are representing Poland. This lovely Hanoverian gelding. Some really lovely work. Just needed to watch the straightness a couple of times. And as I said, would just like to see it, especially in the canter work, a little bit more over the back. Just at times he just got a little bit tight over the back, and that just affected the throughness a little bit, and it just pulled him down half a mark in a couple of movements. So the scores are in at E 68.913, at H 67.717, C 67.174, at M 67.391, and at B 68.370. A new leader with 67.913.
Polish team But here
just
comes
short
up
of his
the
personal
second
best.
rider of the Hungarian team of the home
But
country, the Hungarian
this
spotter,
is our
Stana
second
Frederica,
representative
Don
of
Frederico
the Hungarian
and
team.
Don Rico,
It is
followed by
Benedikt
Peter
Pál
Pachy and ridden
and
by
Donna
Benedikt
Frederica.
Pachy, Hungary.
This is a 15-year-old bay mare by Don Frederico, owned by Peter Pál. Benedikt, just 23 years old, competes in the youth classes. Best score of 69%. Just leaving that right hind leg out there in that initial halt. Very established rider for his young age. Nice frame there in the extended trot. Could just have come through a little bit more from behind. Really lovely here in the half passes. Great crossing, lovely bend through the body. Just going a little bit more onto the shoulder here in the half pass left. Not quite as good as the half pass to the right. Again, just leaving a hind leg out there in that halt. Lost a bit of the fluency as well in the rein back. Again, very expressive there in the extended trot. Just would like to see a little bit more from the hind leg stepping under to really track up in that extended trot. Just a little bit slower and out behind. Better sitting there in the piaffe. Great relaxation here in the walk. Nice over track. Again, taking that contact down and out as he collects for the collective walk. Just losing a bit of the forwardness, bit of the activity, and again, just a little bit tight in the shoulder there in the collective walk. Lovely transition up into the passage. Again, just losing that fluency coming out of the piaffe. Just needs to keep those hind legs a little bit more engaged. Lovely transition up into the canter. A personal best 69%, currently trending on 68.3. The rain is absolutely pouring down here. Lovely correct two-time changes. Yeah, really lovely there in the extended canter. Showed a really clear difference between the collected canter and the extended, and then recollected, rebalanced, and then asked for that flying change. Well ridden. Just losing a bit of that throughness. Again, more so to the left. Nice there on the one-time changes, nice and straight. Could have just covered a little bit more ground to really use up the whole of that diagonal line. Some pretty nice steps in the pirouette. Just lost a little bit of the uphill tendency. Then back into the trot work. As they come down the final centre line, it's going to be another new leader. Can he beat his personal best? 68.237 he's currently trending. 69 is their personal best. They need a really good final piaffe. Lovely here in the passage. Needs to keep that activity through this piaffe. Better there. It was a little bit flat at the beginning. Lost a bit of the fluency again coming back into the passage. And there we have it for the second rider of Hungary. It is Benedikt Powell and Donna Frederica.
Benny! Köszönöm.
Lovely 15-year-old mare by Don Frederico. Just getting a little bit spooked by that marquee along the side of the arena.
So here we go with the scores.
She did a great job of keeping her cool through the test. So we have a score for you.
66.
At E,
69.348.
it's 69.348. At H, 69.891. At C, 68.478. At M, 69.565. And at B, 66.739. So a total score of 68.804 and into the lead.
The Hungarian team in the lead. Wow. Second competitor of the Israeli team now at the
So just 3 more to go before the break. It is the second rider for Israel coming forward now. It is Mika Delidish, and she is riding Handsome C, an 11-year-old KWPN gelding by Don Tango B. Mika owns this horse as well. Based in America, so has made a long trek to come over here to Hungary. Also have some riders in the para classes from America, so all flew over together. Great to see these American-based riders making the trip over to Europe. There you can see the breakdown of Benedikt's test. You can see the scores there. And he is the rider to beat. Horse getting a little bit tense there before she comes into the arena. Making a very sensible decision. circling around and just getting him settled. So coming into the arena now, it is for Israel, Miko, Delidish and Handsome C. It's flashing up on my screen, technical penalty, so I do wonder whether she went over her allocated time to enter the arena, so she will lose a couple of % for that, which is a real shame. Just losing the quarters there as she comes round into the half pass. This horse has a lot of presence, just keeping it all under control, keeping that connection. You can see there just struggling to come back and get that half halt ready for the rein back. The balance just on the shoulder there in those rein back steps. And that's because she had to really put the brakes on into the halt at sea. Balance was already on the shoulder. Some nice steps in the passage. Just dropped a little bit in the piaffe, was a little bit flat. Good relaxation here in the walk. Lovely in the contact, really taking that stretch down and out. Clear over track in the walk. Really good rhythm. You can see the horse swinging over the back. She needs to maintain that now, coming forward into the collected walk. You can just see her losing a little bit of the connection on that short side. Well saved there in that transition. I think he was thinking canter, a little half halt there, and she managed to get a good transition into the passage. Yeah, needed to be clearer there in the piaffe. Scoring 3 5s, a 4 and a 6. Losing the straightness there into the canter. And this is where he was having the problems earlier. Seems to be keeping his cool now. Down this short side. Again, mistake there just towards the end, which is a shame. They were going really nicely. Could just have been a little bit more uphill. Just at times throughout the test so far, the balance has just gone a little bit onto the shoulder rather than maintaining that uphill tendency that the judges want to see. Again, just needing to watch the straightness there in this canter zigzag. As she changes, you can see there the quarters leading. As she comes into the one-time changes. Nice and accurate one-time changes again. Like the last rider, you just want to see the changes come up and be able to cover more ground for the high marks. You're scoring 6.5s and 6s for those. But again, because the weight is a little bit more on the shoulder, it doesn't lend itself well to those big ground covering changes. Nice there in the canter pirouette to the right. A little bit hurried across that diagonal for the extended trot. Good activity here in the passage. Needs to maintain that going into the piaffe and show clearly those 12 to 15 steps that are required. Yeah, again, could have just been a little bit clearer. And there we have it for Mika Deligish and Handsome C, the second rider for Israel, making that big trip over from America to help Israel qualify for the Paris Olympics next year. The final team place up for grabs. They just have this competition. They also have the Europeans later this year. And of course the Pan Am Games. And here's the score at E63.304, at H65.370, at C60.913, at M62.761, and at B63.522%. A total score of 63.174, a combination best for this partnership, and that puts them into 5th place. Next in, we have a rider for Poland. It is Marta Zabaraska, and she is riding Ultra Blue Dimasa, a Polish sport horse, 15-year-old, a gelding by Ruben Royal. Owned by Anne-Sophie Bernard de Legatin. A new partnership for the Polish team. So just 2 horses to go before the break. That means that we are nearly halfway through. We would have seen 2 riders each from Hungary, Israel and Poland. So that'll give us an inkling as to which team is at the top. So Marta, 35 years old, best score of 67.848. Lovely square halt to start. The rain still pouring down. Really lovely, expressive horse. Could have just shown a little bit more difference there in the extended trot. I also would like to see the frame extend as well as the stride in the extended trot. And there you could just see, as she came round the corner, the pole just dropping slightly as she prepared for the half pass. Really lovely steps though there in the half pass. Lovely bend through the body, and again just a pole just tipping over at times. Oh, a little bit late there at C, and the horse coming above the bit. Again, just needs to watch the straightness again round those corners. We've seen that from a few riders today. Lovely here in the passage. Yeah, some nice steps in the Piaf. You could just see him going to step backwards slightly in that. She needs to keep the forward tendency in the Piaf. Although it is a movement that is fairly on the spot, it's still a forward movement. And that was just thinking slightly back a little bit. Lovely there in the frame in the extended walk. Just would like to see the horse tracking up, at least in the extended walk. Yeah, the extended walk getting 5s and even a 4 there. You want to see the horse over tracking in the extended walk, and this horse unfortunately just wasn't tracking up at all. And again, you can just see there with the right hind, not just, he's picking it up, he's just not really stepping through in the Piaf, he's going backwards with it. You want to see clear, even steps. And again, there just needs to watch the straightness as she comes down that long side in the canter. Nice two-time changes. It's slightly modest there in the extended canter. Again here, just needs to keep those quarters underneath her. You can see them leading again there. Really nice steps in the actual half pass though. Nice preparation into that canter pirouette. You can really see her taking that half halt, bringing the balance onto the hind leg. Really nice, neat canter pirouettes. So coming down the final centre line now. Just needs to keep that activity, especially in the hind leg. Nicely on the spot this time. Again, just needs a little bit more activity from behind, just a little bit slow. You just want to see them nice and quick. And coming into the final hold there, it is Marta Sobraja-Jaska and Ultra Blue de Massa, the second representative of Poland, riding this lovely Polish sports horse. Currently sitting around the 65% as we wait for the scores to come in, and we can bring those to you in just a moment. Here they are, 65% at E, 62.935 at H, 66.522 at C, 66.413 at M, and 66.957 from B. An overall score there of 65.565%. That puts them into third.
65.565, and third place in the moment. So we have still one rider to
So one more rider to come forward in this first half of the Grand Prix. It is our first representative of Germany. It is Rudolf Weidmann, and he's riding Ferrari OLD, an 11-year-old Oldenburg stallion by Foundation, out of a Blue Horse Hotline mare.
Rudolf Weidmann, Germany.
Owned by Amaland GmbH. So just waiting for the bell to ring. So entering the arena now, our first rider for Germany, it is Rudolf Weidmann and Ferrari OLD. 56 years old, best score of 70.196. Lovely entry to start. Plenty of expression. Tracking up beautifully there in the extended trot, really covering the ground. Extending the frame as well as the stride. Just see a little head tilt there creeping in the half pass. That's just preventing the higher marks coming through. I want to see a bit more bend through the body. Lovely square halt. as they come into the Piaffe and Passage. Just needs to watch. Yeah, he just lost the connection in the Passage before he came into the Piaffe. The horse just wasn't really thinking. His mind was definitely elsewhere then, and just down tools. Lovely and relaxed here in the extended walk. Nice and over the back, taking that stretch. Four sevens and a 7.5. So he just needs to get that connection now in this Passage before he comes into the Piaffe. You can just see him at times just poking his nose a little bit forward. Better this time. Yeah, again, halfway through the Piaffe, just doesn't want to carry the rider forward. I said earlier on, it's a difficult decision for the rider to make whether they decide to ride the Piaffe more on the spot or travelling but keep the activity. And I think this rider has gone for more on the spot, and I would definitely opt more for going forward in the Piaffe. Little bit of swinging there in the 2-time changes, but lovely and uphill. Again, this horse has so much expression, really, that shows in that extended canter. Again, they're just struggling with the connection and just making it look quite hard work here in the canter zigzag. I'd like to see the horse just a bit more off the rider's aids. So coming into the canter pirouette now. And again, just struggling there towards the end, especially losing the throughness, losing the connection. Slightly better there to the right. So the final centre line now. His cheek piece is looking very, very baggy. Maybe that's why he's struggling a little bit with the connection. Hopefully his groom will pick up on that. Slightly better activity there in the Piaffe. Scoring 7s for that one. Definitely the best Piaffe of the test. And into their final halt. There we have it for Rudolf Weidmann and Ferrari OLD. The first representative of Germany. This lovely stallion. Just 11 years old, so very, very young in their journey in Grand Prix. They're very close to their combination, best score. So here
And
we
here
have
we
it,
go with the
68.913 from E,
68.587
68.587 from H, 65.761 from C, 66.087 from M, and 70.543 from the judge at B. So a score of 67.978%. And into second place there for Rudolph from Germany. So now we have a 15-minute break before we have the final 8 riders coming forward in the second half. The next rider will be coming forward at 1:33 local time. So make sure you join us back in just a few moments.
And it's Hungary in the lead, Germany on the second, Poland on the third, and Israel on the fourth after 2 riders. And it's very close, ladies and gentlemen. It will be very, very very exciting for the second half. Please be back, ladies and gentlemen, for the second half, starting at 1:33.
Nighttime, when the world is at its rest, you will find me in the place I know the best, dancing, shouting, flying to the moon. Don't have to worry, 'cause I'll be come back soon. And we built up castles in the skies and in the sand, design our own world, ain't nobody understand. I found myself alive in the palm of your hand. As long as we are flying, oh, this world ain't got no end.
So after the first two riders, we have
Welcome
Hungarian
back after the
team
break.
in
We
the lead.
have Hungary in the lead in the Nations Cup so far.
On second place,
So at
Germany
the
on
moment
the
they
third place,
are on to take that
Poland
place
on the first
for the
place.
team at the 2024
Israel. And here
Paris
is
Olympic Games. But we're only
Hungarian
halfway through, so
competitor
it's still
number
all to
3,
play for.
Dior S,
Another
the
two
Dutch
riders
gelding
from
by
Israel,
Spielberg
Hungary and Poland,
Florestan,
and two more riders as well from Germany.
ridden
Just
by
3
Anniko
riders in the German
Komjati
team here.
Lozonci,
But
Hungary.
in the arena now, it's the third rider for Hungary. It is Anniko Komjati Lozonci, and she is riding Dior S, a 15-year-old KWPN gelding by Spielberg out of a Florestan mare. Owned by Okura Company Limited. Very, very close in the team standings. So these final two riders really need a lovely clean test. Lovely square halt there to start with for Anniko. This horse has lovely presence in the arena. Oh, that's a shame. Just went for a little bit too much in the extended trot, and broke into canter. Just like to see the horse a little bit more over the back. Just quite straight there in that half pass. Want to see more bend through the body. Better this time in the extended trot. Could see her just really asking for the half halt as she came around that corner, balancing nicely as she asked for the transition for the extended trot. Lovely rhythm there in the passage, and a great transition into the piaffe. Keeping that activity, keeping that rhythm through into the piaffe and back out again into the passage. Not the most expressive mover in the piaffe passage work, but nice and correct there. And that's been rewarded by lots of 7s, a splattering of 7.5s as well. Tracking up there in the walk, would like to see more of an overtrack for the higher marks in that extended walk. And again, taking that stretch down, could just take the nose out a little bit more in the extended walk. 6.5s and 7s. Again, a good transition up into the passage. She's really clawed back her marks. Didn't start particularly well with the extended trot, but is certainly making up for it now. Trending around 67%. Again, lovely transitions there from the passage to the piaffe and back to the passage. Maintaining that straightness, maintaining the activity. And super up into the canter, nice and uphill there. Nice in the 2-time changes, very correct. Nice ground cover there, and she used the whole diagonal, which is really nice to see. Plenty of air time in those changes. Could just have had a little bit more there in that extended canter. Fell a little bit onto the shoulder, especially towards the end. Just feel like now it's just backing off the activity. She needs a little bit more in front of her leg. Again, just needs to be careful there. You can see her losing the straightness in that zigzag, especially towards the end. Now she needs them really in front of her leg now for these 1-time changes. Nice and straight. Yeah, well ridden there. A little mistake. Couldn't actually see from this angle, so I'm just picking up on that from the judges' scores. And again, just a little bit on the shoulder there in the canter pirouette. Still nice and correct. Just for those bigger marks, you want to see a little bit more weight on the hind leg and a little bit more uphill tendency. A bit more throughness to the inside bend. Still scoring 7s. A 6 there from one of the judges as well. Now this is where she can claw back some of those marks that she lost on her 1-time changes in this Passage Piaf. Has he still got enough energy? It seems like he has, as they come into the Piaf there. Really nicely on the spot, nice and active. And into their final halt here at the end of the test. Lovely job, well ridden from Aniko Komarty-Lozonsky and Dior S. A super 15-year-old KWPN gelding. Looks like this horse is a real gentleman. A well-presented test. Just a couple of mistakes creeping in, just that one on the 1-time changes, and of course they didn't get off to the best start with that extended trot, but still is looking like it's going to be a good score.
Yeah.
Can they help Hungary stay at the top of the leaderboard? 67.826 at E, 67.391 from H, 66.522 from C, 68.043 from M, and 68.696 from B. A total score of 67.696, and into 4th place there for Aniko and Dior S.
67.696.
So now into the arena we have the second rider for Israel. It is Gon Salt, and she is riding Bonaquiqui, a 13-year-old Hanoverian mare
Refreshed. Okay.
by Bonifacius. out of a Rotsbom mare.
Yeah, 136.5.
Owner
now.
is
So,
Neflida
next up
Limited.
is Bonakiki, Hanoverian mare by Bonafatius and Rotsbom and Gonzalt, Israel.
So here you can see Hungary's team score. Still one more rider to go. Jasmine Yomtov is the next Hungarian rider to come through. You can see Saba, Skola and Eiling. Their score at the moment is the drop score. So that leaves Hungary out on top. But what can this lady do? It is Gonzalt and Bonaquiqui. Just 23 years old. This rider, 66.217 is their best Grand Prix score. They're going to have to score that at least today to help with the team score. Just losing a little bit of throughness. You can see a little bit of hollowing over the back there in the extended trot. Oh, just a little break in the corner as she prepared for this half pass. Nice crossing here. Again, good bend to the right. Again, would just like to see generally softer over the back. Good halt there at sea. Not 100% square behind, but nicely on the marker. Good steps in the rein back again, just losing a little bit of the connection. Slightly better that time in the extended trot. Yeah, some pretty nice steps in the PF. Scoring around 6.5 from the judges there. Again, for me, just generally the overall picture, I would like to see the horse more over the back, a little bit more through to the bridle. And I think then those sixes will be 6.5s or 7s, and those 6.5s will be 7s or 7.5s. And then she'll be on for a super score. Good connection here in the walk. Nicely on the aids there in the transition into the passage. Good activity. Oh, I just lost the rhythm there going into the Piaf. That's a real shame. Well recovered though. Nicely ridden by Gon. And just see him getting a little bit tense there at E. Losing the straightness. There's a big marquee, what you can't see behind the judge at E's box. A lot of activity going on there. We've had a lot of rain, so it's quite buzzy in that marquee. Nice big flying changes. Oh, that's a shame. Mistakes there. The tension again just creeping in. That's really pulled her score down. Again, just needing to be careful of the straightness. Again, just losing the connection at times in that canter zigzag. That then affects the straightness. Just needs to take a good half halt like she did just there going into the ones, but still a mistake creeping in at the beginning. Again, some nice steps there in the canter pirouette itself. Just losing the throughness again. And that is costing her valuable marks. Oh, well recovered. Just lost a little bit of the rhythm halfway through. Good activity here in the passage. That needs to be maintained in the piaffe. Yeah, well ridden. That's it. And into the final halt there for Gonçalves and Bonaquiqui for Israel. Unfortunately, a few mistakes creeping in their test today has brought their overall score down, currently trending on 63. So this might be the drop score for Israel. Lots of 6.5, some really, really lovely work. Everything is definitely there, but as I said, through the test, I just feel like she needs a little bit of a better connection. The horse needs to be a bit more over the back, and that's when she's going to see those 6.5s creeping up to the 7s, because everything else is looking really, really smart. Just a few mistakes in the changes. Both lines of changes, unfortunately, had mistakes. So some 4s from the judges for those. And they can be very expensive. So next into the arena we have the final rider. Oh, and we have a score, 62.826 from E, 62.174 from H, 64.130 from C, 61.413 from M, and 64.674 from B. A total score then of 63.043%, and into 9th place there for Gonçalves. Next in the arena we have Magdalena Jura and Ron. This is a 16-year-old gelding by Sambahit, owned by Jura Bartoza. So there you can see Israel's scores. As I said, that score is the drop score so far. One more rider to come forward for Israel. So Magdalena Jura now 45 years old, best score 68.522%. A lovely square halt to start with. It's things like the halts where actually you can lose so many valuable marks. Just simply getting a nice straight square halt at the beginning of your test can make all the difference. And of course it is that first impression that the judges have of you and your horse. I think it can be one of those movements that is overlooked in training. And as well with the walk, and as I've said earlier on, the walk does have a double coefficient, so getting a good extended walk and collected walk, it can really boost your marks, but it can also really pull your marks down. Lovely here in the half pass to the left. Lovely positioning, just a little bit of fiddling in the contact. That's just prevented it from getting high marks. Ooh. Just didn't quite prepare for that halt. The balance was all wrong going into that. It was a little bit too forward. She needed a half halt a few more steps before C, and she had to pull the brake on as she got to the marker, which then put the weight on the shoulder. And once the balance is off in the halt, of course the horse fidgets. As I said, valuable marks lost on not a simple movement, because square halts really aren't simple. They're not easy to achieve at all, but on something that can be trained and can be corrected. Lovely steps there in the Piaf. A couple of 7.5s and an 8 even from one of the judges. Better here towards the end of the extended walk. Just at times the horse looks like he gets really behind the contact there in the extended walk, a little bit light, and that's when the rhythm just went a little bit. You want the horse to take the contact in the walk, not come back at you. And it's a horrible feeling as a rider when the horse does draw back. Good rhythm in the passage, carried through to the Piaf. Nicely done. Interesting. 3 7s, a 7.5 and a 4 for the Piaf. The judge at B was definitely seeing something else to the other judges. And that's why we need the judges all the way around the arena, because they do pick up on different things. Oh, a little mistake there. That was a real shame, because that was beginning to be a really lovely line, and mistakes again there across the short diagonal. Well ridden there. Yeah, nicely done in the canter zigzag. Kept the balance well. Kept the straightness as well in those changes. As she comes into the one, lots of ground cover in these one-time changes. And that means that she can really use that whole diagonal line. Mistake free as well in that line, which is great to see. Those scores picking up now. She needs to end on a high. Lovely canter pirouette. Could have just done with a little bit more throughness to the inside bend. Lovely and uphill. Oh, that's a shame. Just fell on the shoulder there in the transition at M. Back to trot. even with transitions that are going downward in pace over the canter to the trot and the trot to the walk, they need to be uphill transitions. So you need to think about riding up into a downhill transition. Not a downhill, a downward transition, sorry. Nicely done there in the Piaf. So coming down now into the final halt. There we have it for Magdalena Jura and Ron for Poland.
Magdalena Jura
A real
and
shame
Ron,
about
Poland.
those
Thank
two
you.
time changes.
Dziękuję.
Just a mistake creeping in at the end of that line. And again in the halt rein back. It's just a little bit abrupt into the halt. But we have a score already. It is 67.283 at E, 68.804 at H, 67.5 at C, 67.5 at M, and 65.326 at B. A total score of 67.283%. Very close to their personal best, which is 68.522. If she hadn't have had those mistakes, she would have been well ahead of her PB. Into fifth place there. So there you can see the team standings. So you can see Marta, currently the drop score for Poland. They are sitting in second place.
We welcome Samurai.
But now we have the second rider for Germany. It is Franziska Stegemeyer, and she's riding Samurai 504. 12-year-old Hanoverian gelding by St. Moritz Jr. Lovely liver chestnut. Just 3 riders on this German team. So no drop score for them. They have, of course, already earned their place at the Paris Olympic Games next year. So really it is between Hungary, Israel and Poland for that final place. So Franziska, 30 years old. Personal best score of 70.340. That would be enough to take her into the lead. The leader at the moment, 68.804. That is Benedikt Paul. A teammate, Rudolf Weidmann, is in second at the moment. Pretty nice there in the extended trot. Just a little break in the rhythm as she came back. Went to go into canter. I think it was a little spook, in fact. Well recovered as she came into that half pass. Lovely positioning here. Really good crossing. Nicely into the bend. And a really good halt there at C. Good steps into the rein back. An 8, 2 7.5s and 2 7s from the judges. Well recovered there, because again, we saw it earlier on with one of the other horses. The weight was a little bit backward, and she really recovered that well by asking him to take her forward in the piaffe. 7s across the board for that. Really good riding. Good steps in the walk. It's a really lovely, well put together test so far. As I said, the personal best is 70.340. Currently sitting on 70.2. Really lovely here in the passage. Much better into the piaffe this time. And up into the canter now. A really well put together test, nice and accurately ridden too. She just needs to keep it together in the canter. And this will really help Germany's score. Lovely and straight in those 2-time changes. Showing a good clear difference there. Plenty of power across the diagonal, keeping the straightness beautifully and doing a well presented flying change at the end there. Lovely and balanced. Well balanced again there through the canter zigzag. One of the best that we've seen today, I would say. Oh, that's a real shame. Mistakes at the beginning of that line of 1s, 4s and a 5 from the judges for that line. Ended really well. She recovered it, but unfortunately too late for the high scores. Lovely, neat canter pirouette. Just needs to keep that activity through the canter pirouette. 3 7.5s and 2 7s. Her score slowly creeping back up again. Still enough to have her in the lead though. Now what can she do down this final centre line? Lovely here in the passage. A bit of swinging, but really super activity. Again, so interesting to see where the judges sit. So the judge at C and the judge at H have obviously picked up on that bit of swinging and marked a 6.5. The rest are on 7s and 7.5. And into a lovely square halt to finish with. A super job there from Franziska Stelgmeier and Samurai 504.
Dankeschön. Thank you.
I think that will be enough to put them into the lead and help put Germany at the top of the leaderboard in this Nations Cup. Of course, Germany already have qualified for the Paris Olympics. So really the fight is between Hungary, Israel and Poland. Here's a score, 70.761 at E, 69.239 at H, 70.109 at C, 69.022 at M, and 68.478 at B. A total score of 69.522 and into the lead, just under their personal best score.
And now let's have
Now into the arena, we have Jasmine Yomtov, and she is riding
37.5 and it's rank 1. And after the third
this is an
round, we have,
8-year-old, the
Germany
youngest
in the lead,
horse
followed up by
in the
Hungary,
class,
Poland and Israel. And
KWPN Stallion
now, the last Hungarian
by Shamir,
rider, it's
a very, very experienced rider.
Confucius, the Dutch Stallion by Shamir and Fleming, and Yasmin Yomtov, Hungary.
Has represented Hungary in the youth classes. Started riding at Grand Prix at a very young age. Just 21 years old. Best score on this horse, 68.674. She's going to be looking to boost Hungary's score. So just one rider left for each team now. All the pressure on this young girl's shoulders. Can she secure that place at the Olympics for her country? Very striking stallion. Very well positioned here in the half pass. Again, would just like to see the horse a little bit softer into that bend, a little bit more submissive to the bend, especially to the left. Lovely halt there at C. I have to say, this girl does really put together such a beautiful test. She rides so, so beautifully. And this horse, again, remember, just 8 years old. Showing great promise. Just looking quite green there in the Piaf. Three sixes, a 5 and a 4.5 from the judges for the Piaf. Just showing his age there. But seems to have a really, really good brain. Very relaxed in the arena, taking everything in his stride. For me, I'd like to see a little bit more stretch in the walk. I think that would just open the horse up a little bit more and encourage a little bit more ground cover. Yeah, again, just struggling there in the Piaf. Some nice steps, and you can see that there's a lot of promise there. I just think it's going to take him another year to really get stronger and develop in the Piaf work. I think if anything, actually, she could ride it a little bit more forward. I think she's trying a little bit too much to get it on the spot. And if she just allowed him to go forward a little bit more, that might encourage him to keep the activity. Some beautiful flying changes. So much airtime in those. And again, just enabling her to use that whole diagonal line. Nicely balanced here for such a young horse in the canter zigzag. Yasmin does a great job of setting up each movement. Just losing the straightness there on that diagonal line. Yeah, it was only time that that mistake was going to creep in. Pirouette just got away from her a little bit there. Yeah, much better there to the right. Was about to lose it in that first step, and then she just half halted, corrected the mistake, and then he was much more with her. What a great performance for such a young horse and rider combination. Not even 30 years old between them. Yeah, again, just losing the activity as soon as she comes into the piaffe. Well recovered back into the passage. It's all there for sure. You can see there's so much quality. It's just getting that a little bit stronger and more consistent. But a super job from Yasmin Yomtov and Confucius. They're representing Hungary. You could just see at times this horse's inexperience coming through, but although Jasmine is just 21 years old, she's so experienced. And here we have a score, 66.739 from E, 66.630 from H, 66.196 from C, 65.652 from M, and 63.043 from B. A total score of 65.652%.
And 63.043 at M, and at B it's 65.652.
So we will have a final team score for Hungary. It is 202.152. So that's the team score to beat. They, of course, are in the lead with all 4 riders having completed their tests. So we have one more rider from Israel, one more rider from Poland, and one more rider from Germany to come forward. So next up, it is Israel, and it is Nicola Louise Ahorna. And she is riding Henderson, a KWPN 11-year-old gelding by Johnson. So coming in now, our final rider for Israel. Nicola Louise Ahona, 23 years old, 68.652% is her personal best score with this horse. She's going to need that to put her, or more than that, in fact, to put them ahead of Hungary in the team standings. Plenty of ground cover in the extended trot. Just would have liked to have seen it a little bit more uphill. You can see at times the horse just creeping behind the vertical in the trot work. The judges want to see the pole at the highest point and the nose in front of the vertical at all times. And that just affects the throughness. A little bit early into the hole, not quite square either there. Some good steps in the rein back though. Again, very expressive there in the extended trot. Just want to see that frame extend as well as the stride length. Ooh, bit of double beating there, just needs to watch the rhythm as she asked for the transition into the piaffe. You can see how much expression this horse has. Just 11 years old though, so again relatively new in his Grand Prix career. Good relaxation in the walk. Just like to see him be able to take the nose out a little bit more in the extended walk. And again, that will just help with that ground cover. He's tracking up, but there could be more ground cover there for the higher marks. A little bit of tension creeping in. She's doing a good job of keeping that under wraps. Nice to see the sun coming out now after all that rain. Again, some really lovely steps in the passage and the piaffe. Just when he creeps down a little bit deep in the frame, that's when the rhythm gets affected and they lose valuable marks. Just want to see a little bit more engagement from the hind leg. That will just help with the consistency a lot more and keeping him in front of the leg and up. Oh, mistake at the beginning of that line of twos. Oh dear. Lots of mistakes. At least he's going to be well set up for the line of ones. We've got a 1 from one of the judges. A 1, 2 twos and 2 threes for that line. That was a real pity. It's brought her score down to 65. She was around the 68%. Again, just needs to watch the straightness there in that extended canter line. Lovely flying change coming back though. There you can really see the horse just creeping over and getting pole deep. Oh, and again, mistakes at the end. As I said, those mistakes are just creeping in when he goes a little bit pole deep, and it's just such a hard feeling as a rider when they go all light and you just feel like you've got nothing at the end of the rein. 4s and 5s for the canter zigzag. Better in the one-time changes. The score just slipping down. Was sitting in 3rd, now in 11th. Again, just needs to watch the balance there. More uphill there in that second canter pirouette. Much better there to the right than the one to the left. Some lovely steps in the extended trot. This horse really does have so much expression. And I think in another year or two's time, when the horse gets stronger, he's going to be incredibly, incredibly impressive. Super steps in the passage. Better coming into the Piaffe this time. Much better in the Piaffe. So there we have it. Our final rider for Israel, Nicola Louisa Horner and Henderson.
Horner and Henderson. Thank you.
Just a few too many mistakes for this combination today. Still looking like it could be a combination best score for them, but they were trending 68, and then just those mistakes creeping in on the zigzag line, and of course that first line of 2-time changes. Henderson was wanting to do ones a little bit too soon. So one more score to come through before we bring you the final results for Nicola. And what's that going to do for Israel's overall team score? We will find out. So the scores: E 66.848 at H 64.565, C 65.761, M 65.435, and B 62.935. A total score of 65.109 and combination best. That puts them into second in the team with 192.522 as a total score. So 10 marks behind Hungary's score. So unfortunately, that will not get them a team place at the Paris Olympics next year. Now, for our final rider for Poland, what can this rider do? I'm really sorry if I pronounced this wrong, but this is Zanita Skoronska-Kozubik, and he is riding Romantic P, a 14-year-old,
Poland.
a gelding by Ronstein.
Just in front by 1.3%.
So the bell's gone as we wait for the final rider for Poland. The pressure is certainly on. What can they do to help Poland get their team to the Olympic Games next year? So Zanita Skoronska-Kozubik and Romantic P into the arena for Poland. bit wide into their first halt. Some nice steps in the extended trot. Just getting a little bit tight over the back. Lovely positioning in the half pass to the right. Sevens across the board. And again here, much better throughness in these half passes. Let's hope that can be maintained. It's a little bit spooky down that short side. Overshot the marker there at C, but a lovely halt. Again, really lovely steps in the extended trot. Keeping that pole up. Just again, a little bit of tension there towards the end, especially. He certainly spotted something around the outside of the arena. Good steps in the piaffe. Keeping the activity, keeping that lift. Yeah, I'd like to see a little bit more relaxation here in the walk, just holding himself over the back a little bit, and that's just preventing him from getting that ground cover that the judges want to see. Also still looking around himself, especially in that bottom corner there at H. Just losing the concentration slightly. 6.5s and 6s for the extended walk, 6.5s and a 5 for the collected walk. But a lovely transition back up into the passage. Wonderful activity in this passage. Well ridden there, because that is where the horse has been spooking, and she really managed to keep the horse's attention. A bit of tension creeping in, but she managed to maintain that really, really well and still scored 6.5s and 7s. Into the 2s now. Again, lovely and uphill. Lovely changes. Okay, just I don't know what it doesn't like down there at H, but there's definitely something that it's taken a disliking to. Lots of expression in the extended canter, and lovely and rebalanced before she asked for the flying change. Yeah, just losing the straightness towards the end, but a pretty nice zigzag. Lots of expression in the changes, good change of bend. And very smart into these 1-times. 2 7s, 2 7.5s and an 8 for that. Nicely balanced into the canter pirouette. just losing a little bit of activity, especially in that one to the right. Just went a little bit onto the shoulder. Now, what can she do down this final centre line? So close to 70%. Needs a good final piaffe here. Wonderful activity there in the passage. Maintaining that into the piaffe. Swinging a little bit there. The judge at C will definitely see that. 7s from 4 judges and an 8. As they come into their final halt. There we have it for Zenita Shorunska-Kozubik and Romantic
Saneta.
P. She's absolutely thrilled. What a cracking test. We are in personal best territory. Has this put Poland ahead of Hungary? We just have to wait for the scores to come through. What a final combination for Poland. Gosh, it's going to be incredibly tight.
Wow.
A
Saneta,
fantastic
Fantastic
test from this combination.
So,
And they're
now,
into the lead,
let's look
69.696
into this
from E, 68.370 at H, 69.457 at C, 69.022 at M, 70.435 and at B, 71.196. So where does that put Poland? That is into the lead there for Vezanita.
The win.
So she takes
so far
the first lead. She takes the lead. We've got one rider left to go. But where does that put the Polish team? We just wait for the team scores to come through. It's 204.892. That's into the lead. So they will take the team place at the Paris Olympics next year. Drop score 65.565. But some really fabulous scores from the Polish team. Of course, Germany already have their place at the Olympics next year. So it was really a competition between Hungary, Israel and Poland.
And we welcome
Just
Lisa Müller,
2 marks
Germany.
in it. But Poland are out on top. So one more rider to come forward for this Group C Olympic qualifier. 3-star competition here in Pilisjászfalu. It is Lisa Müller. And she is riding Gut Wettkampfs DAV FRH. An 11-year-old Hanoverian stallion by Don Juan de Hus. The 2 German riders done very well here. Lisa, 33 years old, highest score 76.522. That, of course, would be enough to take her into the lead. Zenita's score is in the lead, 69.696. What can Lisa do? Super there in the extended trot, tracking up beautifully from behind into a lovely frame. You can see there, that's what I say about when the horse really extends the frame as well as the stride length, and that was beautifully demonstrated there by Lisa. Have a little bit more bend through the body there in the half pass to the left. It was definitely better in the half pass right. That halt just lacked a bit of preparation and therefore just left that left hind out. Good steps in the rein back though. Only 3 steps. 5 steps are required. And again, it's little things like that in these tests that these riders lose out on valuable marks. Lovely activity there in the Piaf. Again, this horse still relatively young, just 11 years old. Nice big over track here in the walk. Really covering the ground beautifully there, lovely and relaxed. Taking that contact down and out. That should be a good score for the extended walk. Three eighths and 7.5 so far. Just waiting for one more judge's score. 7 from another judge for that walk. That's definitely the best one that we've seen today. Lovely in the frame there as she comes into the Piaf. Really keeping that pole up. Just lost a little bit of the fluency in some of the transitions there. But on the whole, the quality is beautiful, and that's where they're picking up the marks. Into the 2-time changes. Again, really beautifully uphill, covering the ground. Just there, the balance goes a little bit onto the shoulder. Lovely here in the extended canter. Yeah, fairly nice in the canter zigzag. Just losing the balance a couple of times there. Now she just needs... Yeah, good. You could see him coming around that corner at M just with the quarters to the inside slightly. So Lisa just had to set him up. Get him straight and then ask for the changes. Well ridden. Nicely balanced there in the canter pirouette. Could have just been a little bit more uphill for the higher marks. Yeah, 7.5s and an 8 for the canter pirouette to the right. And a lovely transition back into the trot. A really, really super test. What can she do down this final centre line? Is definitely going to be a plus 70. In fact, our only plus 70. Was losing a bit of the straightness going into the Piaf. Nicely regained. Good activity there as she comes into the passage and her final halt. We will have a winner. It was best till last. And there we have it. Lisa Müller And good welcomes, DAV FRH.
Good welcomes, Davi FRH.
A super test there from this partnership.
Das war's, meine Damen und Herren. Das war der
I think
letzte
that will put Germany into the lead
Nation
as well.
Ladies
But
and
of course,
gentlemen,
it
that was,
is really
the
all
final
about Hungary,
combination
Israel,
in the
and
Nations
Poland,
Cup
and
here
who
in,
takes that team
Pilisjászfalu,
place
Hungary.
for the Paris Olympics next year. At the moment, it is, of course, Poland out on top. Germany have already qualified their place at the Olympics. So we just wait for a final score to come through for Lisa. Here it is, 74.022 at E, 71.630 from H, 71.848 at C, 71.413 at M, and 73.804 from B. That means that they are in the lead with a combination best score of 72.543 there for Lisa Müller. And good comes DAV FRH.
543, and Lisa Müller wins this Grand Prix for the Nations Cup.
So we just wait to
And
see
that's
the
only
Nations Cup team.
also,
It is
the first place for the German team in the Nations Cup
210.043.
here
So Germany do
Pilisjászfalu,
take the Nations
Hungary.
Cup lead. They are out in
Portugal,
front with their
of course,
three
because
riders, Rudolf, Franziska and
the
Lisa.
Grand Prix special then.
No drop score for them. So in the lead is Germany. Second place goes to Poland.
Tomorrow.
Third is Hungary.
Grand Prix
And
special, the second round
Israel
of the
are
Nations
in
Cup.
fourth.
So, in the
So
lead
make
now,
sure you join us back tomorrow.
210.043, Germany.
They are the team
Poland,
standings so far.
204.892.
Tomorrow we
On third
have the
place.
special, so make sure you join us
Today,
back. It
Hungary
starts at 11 o'clock
202
local time.
1.4, and Israel
Here
on
you can
fourth
see the
place,
official standings. They are the results from this Grand Prix.
192.522.
So very exciting class. So make sure you join us
Now
back
we
tomorrow
waiting,
for the
the
Grand Prix
Thanksgiving ceremony,
special.
the best
11
eight
o'clock
of
local time.
this,
All of the
Grand
action will be here on Clip My Horse. So tune in tomorrow for the special. And then we will be back on Sunday for the Grand Prix Freestyle. So yes, you can catch all the action here on Clip My Horse TV. But that is it from me, Natasha Baker. I hope you enjoyed watching along for this fantastic Grand Prix class today. As I said, join us back for the special tomorrow at 11 o'clock local time.